Hi everyone, it's Lindsay and I am back today with a very quick deal with it video. This time on something you can do with your MISTI grids to make them last just a little bit longer. So when you get your MISTI, you get a sample of their grid paper with your MISTI. Now it is great to use. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I love it and I love to use it, but I go through it so quickly that I'm finding myself that I need to order more. So what I decided to do here was laminate my MISTI grid paper to make it last longer. Now on my mini MISTI, I'm going to go ahead and use two papers here, and I'm going to put them back to back. So I've got a grid on the front and back. Now on this one I decided to do that because with my mini MISTI, I'm more than likely only going to be using the grid and I won't need any other space than that. Now on my larger one, I don't have any of the actual MISTI grid paper. So what I did was I went online and I printed off some grid paper free from the internet that has 1/4 inch squares on it. So 4 squares is 1 inch. But I went ahead and printed off that paper and then I just trimmed it down to the MISTI size. Now I'm just going to go ahead and put these both in laminating folders and run them through my laminator. Now what this is going to do is it's going to create a seal on both of these papers, make them to where if you get any ink on them, you can wipe them off, or if you wanted to make marks on your paper, like if you're using your larger original MISTI and you have your paper in the center, so you make little tick marks to where your corners go, you can use like a whiteboard marker and erase it, or you can use a Sharpie and go back and wipe it off with alcohol and remove that marker. So I just went ahead and put those in the folder. Now I am cranking up the heat on this because these are the thicker laminating pouches, so I have it on the 5mm. Now I'm just going to let this heat up, and when my light turns green I can go ahead and send these through. Now, I am not going to take credit for this idea. It wasn't mine. I actually seen it on Facebook, and they had found it somewhere else. It wasn't their idea either. So I don't know who the original source is for this idea, but I wanted to share it on my channel just because I thought it was brilliant, and I decided to go ahead and do it so I didn't have to keep going back and either printing grids off the internet and trimming them out, or go back and buy larger pads of the grid paper and then storing those as I use them up. So once I had these both sent through my laminator, I'm not going to make you sit and watch them go through, but once I had them both through, I went ahead and put them back through a second time just to make sure that everything was nice and sealed. Then I brought them over to my paper trimmer and I am going to trim them very close up. I'm not leaving any border around this. I want this to really bump up right in the corner of my MISTI. I don't want any clear space in between that corner and my grid. So this might not last as long as a traditional laminating something else because I'm not leaving that seal around it. So this might end up falling apart later on down the road. However, it's going to last me quite a bit longer than just my normal grid paper without any lamination on it. If you wanted this to last as long as possible, I would go ahead and leave a little border around it. If you want to do this like me, you can always go back and find these free downloads online, trim them to fit your MISTI, and then go back and relaminate because your laminator lasts forever and the lamination pockets aren't that expensive, and I would much rather store them than huge grid mats, but that's just my opinion. So I went ahead and trimmed these out so they would fit exactly into my MISTI, and there I've got a nice grid mat that is laminated that I can reuse over and over and over, wipe it down when it gets dirty. I have kind of an erasable surface here, so it's really nice to use. And I just wanted to show you here too that whenever I take an ink pad to this, it's very easy to wipe off. So I went ahead and brought over, put that right back in my MISTI because it wasn't quite exactly fitting. It was a little bit too snug, so I trimmed it down a little bit more. Now I'm just going to pounce on a dye ink pad very quickly onto my grid paper, and then I can just take a wet cloth or a baby wipe and simply wipe away the ink, and this is as good as new to reuse over and over again. And that finishes up today's Deal With It video. I hope you guys enjoyed this and found it useful. And I hope you laminate your MISTI grids as well, just to make them last a little bit longer. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and happy crafting.